My name's Nate, and I'm 26 years old. This happened last summer, but I still think about it more often than I'd like to admit. It was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life, my college graduation. I was the first in my immediate family to get a degree, and not just any degree. I graduated with honors in finance, after working full-time through school and supporting myself completely. No handouts, no safety net, just long hours, side gigs, and caffeine-fueled nights. I thought the hard part was over. What made it worse was that I had planned the entire celebration myself. I rented the backyard venue, paid for the catering, arranged for the tables, the flowers, the soft lighting, even booked a small acoustic band, because my mom once told me how much she loved that kind of music. I thought, stupidly, that maybe this would be a chance to bridge the gap between me and my family, especially my mom. Our relationship had always been complicated. She favored my younger brother, Adam. She didn't try to hide it. He was always the charmer, the golden boy, even though he never held down a steady job for more than a few months and dropped out of community college after one semester. But he had a smile that made people forgive him, and I guess that was enough for her. Still, I thought this day would be different. I paid off the last few installments on the house last month and quietly transferred the deed into her and my stepdad's name. They'd been struggling with mortgage payments for years, and I wanted to give them some peace. It felt good, like I was finally in a place to help. Like maybe, finally, I'd be seen as more than just the responsible one. I didn't tell them right away. I figured I'd surprise them at the party. But I didn't realize I was walking into a setup. The evening started off nicely enough. Guests arrived, most of them family friends or distant relatives. People laughed, clinked glasses, and complimented the decorations. My mom even smiled when she saw the cake I'd ordered. It had my name on it, which felt like a novelty in our house. I mingled, made small talk, and waited for that perfect moment to pull her aside, hand her the paperwork, and see her face light up. I wanted to believe she'd be proud. Instead, just as the cake was being cut, my mom clinked her glass. I was halfway across the yard, chatting with my aunt when the sound cut through the noise. Everyone quieted down. She stood in the center, a champagne flute raised in one hand, her other arm looped through Adam's. "I'd like to make a toast," she said, smiling that tight smile she always used when she was about to say something passive-aggressive. "To the child who actually made us proud. To Adam, who's always had a big heart and never forgot where he came from." I blinked. For a second, I thought I misheard. A few people clapped politely. Some looked confused. My aunt shot me a glance and whispered, "Isn't this your graduation?" I didn't respond. I just stood there, frozen. Adam grinned and held up his glass, like he was basking in the spotlight. I didn't even think he'd done anything recently worth toasting. He hadn't worked in 6 months and was currently living in my parents' basement, playing poker online and calling it entrepreneurship. But there he was, being celebrated at my party, in front of my guests, for simply existing. I felt a heat rise in my chest. Not anger, not yet, just disappointment. That familiar, quiet kind of disappointment that sinks into your stomach like a cold rock. I didn't make a scene. I didn't argue. I just nodded slowly, smiled like it didn't sting, and excused myself. I slipped back into the house and headed straight for the guest room where I'd stashed my bag. Inside was my laptop, and more importantly, the folder with the house deed transfer forms. I sat down at the desk, opened the file, and stared at the papers for a long time. I'd already signed them. All that was left was to finalize it at the registry the next morning. I pulled up the online portal and clicked cancel. It took 2 minutes. That's all. 2 minutes to take back the house. 2 minutes to reverse the one gift I'd planned for months. When I walked back outside, the party was still in full swing. The band was playing something light and breezy. People were dancing under the string lights. My mom was laughing with Adam, holding her glass like nothing had happened. She didn't even notice I'd been gone. No one did. And that was when something inside me shifted. Not just hurt, not just frustration, but something colder. Something calculating. Because the house, that was just the beginning. They wanted to ignore me, pretend I didn't matter, erase everything I'd done. Fine. But they weren't going to enjoy what came next. I stayed until the end of the party, helping people into their cars, shaking hands, thanking guests. Smiling. Silent. Adam came over at one point, tipsy and smug, and said, "Don't take it personally, man. She just likes to mess around. You know how she is." Yeah, I knew. What he didn't know was that I'd spent the last 6 years being the boring one, the one who filed taxes early and saved receipts and learned about power of attorney and real estate loopholes. I wasn't going to throw a tantrum. I was going to play their game better than they ever could. And they had no idea what was already in motion. That week, I made a few quiet moves. Subtle things. Legal things. Things that wouldn't raise alarms, at least not yet. But this time, I wasn't trying to win them over. This time, I was just getting started. The next morning, I woke up early. Not out of habit, but because I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard my mom's voice again. To the child who actually made us proud. That sentence had replayed in my head all night like a broken record. I kept wondering how many times I'd overlooked similar jabs, brushed them off, told myself it wasn't worth the fight. I'd paid their bills, covered emergencies, helped fix their car, paid off their credit cards in secret, so they wouldn't be embarrassed. I even helped Adam get out of a legal mess once. He never even thanked me. I thought, maybe if I just kept helping, eventually they'd see me. Really see me. But I get it now. They saw me the whole time. They just didn't care. So I stopped playing the role they assigned me. That morning, I called the attorney who'd helped with the house paperwork and asked him to revert the deed transfer. He was surprised, said it was unusual, but legal, since the final title hadn't been filed yet. It cost me a few $100 in admin fees, but it was worth every cent. The house was back in my name by lunch. I stared at the confirmation email longer than I should have. I didn't feel joy. Not exactly. More like clarity. Control. I didn't stop there. A few days later, I called the electric and water company and removed their names from the accounts. Transferred the online bills to a private dashboard. Just a little housekeeping, nothing suspicious. Then I logged into my old password manager. Because yes, Adam once asked me to help set up his email and found that he still hadn't changed his credentials. Classic. It didn't take long to see that he was in deep again. Gambling. Online poker sites. Late-night crypto pump and dumps. I didn't touch anything illegal. I'm not that kind of guy, but I did quietly download the logs and forwarded them to myself. Receipts. Backup. Protection. And the best part? He had recently listed my parents' house address as Business HQ for one of his half-baked startups. I chuckled when I saw it. Perfect. Now I had leverage. Not for blackmail, no, but for something far cleaner. I waited a week. Let the silence stretch. No calls. No texts. Just distance. I figured, let them notice. Let them feel the stillness and wonder what was missing. And right on cue, the first ping came in. My mom texted. Hey, can you come by sometime? We want to talk. I ignored it. The next day, a call from my stepdad. I let it ring. Then came the email. Subject line, strange charges? Apparently, they were finally checking the bank statement for the utilities and saw nothing going out. Because the bills were coming straight to me now. Unpaid. That weekend, Adam showed up at my apartment. I saw him through the peephole, shades, hoodie, trying to look casual. I didn't open the door. He knocked again, then texted me. Hey man, I think there's been a mix-up with the house paperwork. Mom said you might have copies. Can we talk? Nope. By the following Thursday, my mom sent a voice message. Her tone was different this time. No fake smiles, no sing-song guilt trips. Just clipped and tight. She said, Nate, this has gone far enough. We know you did something with the house. This is serious. Call me back. That was the moment I realized something. They weren't just confused. They were scared. They never expected me to push back. For years, I was the good son. The one who kept quiet. Who carried burdens without complaint. Who fixed things without asking for credit. But I wasn't that kid anymore. I'd graduated. Not just from college, but from playing dumb. I started making copies of everything. House deed. Email logs. Screenshots of Adam's sketchy transactions. I even backed up texts from my mom that, if needed, would show a pattern of financial manipulation. Just in case. I wasn't planning anything illegal. I just wanted to be prepared. Because if they pushed, I'd push back harder. Still, a part of me hoped they'd get the message. Take the hint. Apologize. Maybe even try to make things right. But then came the kicker. I got a call from my aunt, the same one who'd whispered to me at the party. Nate, she said, her voice low. I don't know if you've heard, but your mom's been telling people you stole the house. That you used some kind of legal trick to take it from them behind their backs. I stood there, holding the phone in silence. She's been saying you forged signatures, my aunt added. and that you've been acting unstable since graduation. She even mentioned getting a lawyer. There it was. The smear campaign. They couldn't guilt me into giving back the house, so now they were going to paint me as the villain. My jaw clenched. I thanked my aunt, hung up, and just sat there for a long time. I wasn't even angry. I was past that. I was focused. They wanted a war. Fine. But they had no idea what I'd already done, what cards I still had. And by the time they realized, it would be far too late. The next 2 weeks felt like walking a tightrope across a pit of snakes, tense, slow, but not without a strange sense of power. Every day, I received new little messages. Passive-aggressive quotes about family posted to my mom's Facebook. Comments on old Instagram photos of Adam and me. Sad how people change, or can't believe what some are capable of when money's involved. Subtle, whispered, designed to cast doubt without ever saying anything outright. But I didn't bite. I didn't comment, didn't reply, didn't try to clear my name with the extended family. I just waited. Because that's what you do when people lie about you. You let them dig the hole deeper, make it public, build their version of the story loud enough that it can be torn down all at once. And I was patient, painfully patient. I focused on tightening things behind the scenes. First, I scheduled a meeting with a real estate attorney. I told him everything, every transaction, every document, every petty family blow-up that had led to this. He was professional, even impressed with how clean the paperwork was. They have no legal grounds, he said. You didn't steal anything. In fact, your original gift was never finalized. You just changed your mind. Can they sue? I asked. He shrugged. Sure, but it'll get thrown out. That was all I needed to hear. I left his office with a neat folder of notarized copies and formal statements that could shut down any legal nonsense before it started, just in case. Then I made a few phone calls to utility providers, insurance companies, even the HOA. I made it clear that any future communications or claims regarding the house needed to go through me directly. One company rep hesitated and said, "But your mom doesn't live in a property she owns," I interrupted. "All decisions go through me now." Understood. It was cold, sure, but necessary. The first true blow came one Monday evening when I got a frantic voicemail from my mom. No passive aggression this time, just panic. She said, "Nate, they shut off the water." "The water, Nate. There are notices taped to the front door. I don't know what you're doing, but this isn't funny. You need to fix this right now. Call me back. Please." I didn't. The next day, she called again, and again, and again. By Wednesday, Adam sent a long text. I could tell he spent time drafting it, trying to balance his usual smugness with a fake olive branch. He texted, "Look, I don't know what this is really about, but we're family. Mom's a mess, Dad's stressed, and this whole thing is just, it's going too far. Maybe we all made mistakes, yeah? Let's just fix it. We'll say we're sorry. You can even keep the house if it means that much. Keep the house." As if I'd taken something from them. As if I hadn't offered it out of love, and they hadn't spat in my face at the very celebration I funded. That night, I drove by the house. I didn't go in. I didn't want a scene, but I wanted to see it. The porch lights were off. A red slip was taped to the mailbox. One of Adam's old business partners was pacing on the sidewalk, clearly trying to figure out why no one was answering the door. I watched from a distance. It didn't feel good. It didn't feel triumphant. It felt hollow, but sometimes justice is. Still, I wasn't finished. They hadn't learned anything yet. They were panicking, not reflecting. Their goal was to get back to the comfortable lie, not to own up to what they'd done. So I planned the next step. I called in a favor from an old college friend, Melanie, who worked in PR. Not big-time media, just corporate reputation stuff. But she owed me one. I explained everything, and she whistled low. "Damn, Nate," she said. "That's some Succession-type drama. Can you help?" I asked. "I'll send you a guide," she said. "Not public scandal, nothing dirty, just positioning. Messaging. In case this thing blows up." And it was about to blow up. Because what they didn't know, what I had held back until now, was that Adam had applied for a small business grant last year using the house as his mailing address and listed himself as a tenant under owner permission. I only found out because he used one of my old tax IDs from when we filed jointly during the year I helped him run a failed landscaping side gig. Yeah, he roped me into that mess too. Back then, I didn't care. Now, I had documentation. I sat with that email in my drafts for days. Not sent. Just waiting. It was addressed to the grant office that issued the funds. Subject line: Fraudulent Application Review Request. Inside was everything: screenshots, statements, copies of my revoked permission form, and proof the house was not under his legal control at the time of application. I didn't press send. Not yet. I wanted one more crack at closure before turning up the heat. A final chance for them to see what they'd done, to apologize, not because they were cornered, but because they finally understood. So I drafted a message. Short, controlled. If you want to talk, meet me at the cafe on 5th tomorrow. Noon. No drama. Just answers. I didn't know if they'd show, but I knew one thing for sure. Whether or not they came, everything would change after that meeting. And they had no idea what was sitting in my outbox, ready to detonate. I sat at the corner table at the cafe on 5th, the one by the window that caught just enough sunlight to feel warm but not blinding. I wasn't early. I wasn't late. I was exactly on time. I had a coffee in front of me, untouched, going lukewarm while I scrolled through the email I'd saved in drafts one more time. Subject line: Fraudulent Application Review Request. My finger hovered over the send button like it was connected to a detonator. Because it was. Not for a building. Not for their house. For their reputation. For the version of events they'd been spinning to everyone who would listen. 10 minutes passed. Then 15. And then I saw them. Adam came in first, wearing his signature too expensive for someone with no job leather jacket. Sunglasses still on like he was hiding from the paparazzi that only existed in his head. My mom followed, her face tight, jaw clenched, wearing the same jewelry I'd bought her 3 Christmases ago, when I still thought earning her affection was a matter of effort. They spotted me and walked over in silence. Nate, my mom said as they sat down. No hug, no smile, just one word, like it took effort to acknowledge me. Adam pulled off his glasses and leaned forward with a fake smile. All right, man, let's just clear the air. This whole thing's been nuts, yeah? I said nothing. My mom tapped the table. You've made your point. The water was off for a week. We had to shower at a neighbor's. Embarrassing. So now you've punished us. You feel better. I looked at her, eyes flat. You think this is about water? Well, it's not about the house, she scoffed. You gave it to us, Nate. We didn't ask for it. You chose to do that. No, I said quietly. I planned to give it to you. But I didn't. I changed my mind. You changed your mind after we told people, Adam muttered. You made us look like fools. You know that, right? Like we're liars. You are liars, I said. My voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. You stood in front of everyone at my graduation party, at the event I paid for, at the celebration for my achievement, and toasted him. I pointed at Adam, called him the child you were proud of. Looked me in the eye while you said it. My mom looked annoyed, not ashamed. Oh, for God's sake, Nate. It was just a toast. Why do you always make everything about you? I let out a laugh. Not a funny one. Dry, short, the kind that comes when you realize you're sitting across from people who genuinely don't get it. I paid off your house, I said slowly. That was me. I put in the hours, the loans, the stress. I sacrificed. You didn't even say thank you. You acted like it was owed to you, like I was just fulfilling some cosmic debt. My mom folded her arms. Because family takes care of each other. No, I said, leaning forward now. I took care of you. You just took. Adam raised a hand. Okay. Can we just stop the drama? What do you even want from us, man? I pulled a piece of paper from my bag. Folded. Neat. I slid it across the table. What's this? My mom asked, not touching it. A detailed list of every financial contribution I've made to this family in the last 7 years. Rent, loans, bailouts, credit card debt, mortgage payments, repairs, gifts, tuition help, groceries. I kept receipts. Adam glanced at the bottom. This says you spent over $100,000. $123,492.16. I corrected. My mom's mouth fell open. Why would you keep track of that? Because I had a feeling this day would come. There was a long pause. The kind that feels like its own kind of noise. So what? She said finally. You want us to pay it back? We don't have that kind of money. I know, I said. That's why I'm not asking for it. Adam sat back. Then what is this? I picked up my phone and turned the screen toward them. The email was still open. I tapped the screen once. Remember that grant you got? I asked Adam. The one for your entrepreneurial startup. His face twitched. What about it? You committed fraud, I said simply. You used the house address without permission. Claimed you were a tenant. Used my tax ID. That's federal money, Adam. His jaw tightened. You wouldn't. I smiled cold. I haven't. Not yet. But if either of you keep pushing this he stole our house narrative or try to guilt me into giving anything else, I will. My mom's eyes widened. You're threatening your own family? No, I said, standing up. I'm protecting myself from mine. I picked up my bag, tossed a 20 on the table for the coffee, and turned to leave. Wait, my mom called after me. I paused. Why are you doing this? She asked, quieter now. Less angry. Almost afraid. I looked back at her. Because I'm done begging for your respect, I said. You lost a son the day you made a toast to someone else at his celebration. This. I held up my phone again. This is just me making sure I never forget why. And I left. A month passed. The calls stopped. The Facebook posts disappeared. The gossip from extended family dried up when I sent them all a polite group message explaining the full situation with documentation. I attached the receipts, the graduation party invoice, and a brief statement. This is what happened. I'm not asking for sides. I just want the truth to be known. No venom. No name calling. Just facts. I didn't hear back from most of them, but a few replied. Quietly. With apology. One uncle even offered to take me out for dinner. I politely declined. 3 months after that, my mom emailed me. Subject: I miss you. Body: I know we've made mistakes. I didn't realize how much we hurt you. I wish we could go back and do things differently. I hope one day you'll come home. I didn't reply. Because I am home. My name is still on the house. Adam moved out after his grant was revoked. Turns out, someone did eventually forward the documents to the grant office after all. Could have been anyone, really. My parents now rent a small place on the other side of town. It's not much, but it's theirs. And me? I got promoted. Moved into a quiet apartment downtown. Found peace, finally, in the space where I'm not someone's afterthought or utility. Just a person. Just Nate. And I haven't looked back. Not because I hate them, but because I finally realized. You don't owe loyalty to people who only love you when you're useful.